Greetings, everyone. I am in a talkative mood today. And so, because of that, I wanted to come in and talk more about Mercury Retrograde and the cosmology and how we get ourselves aligned. It's such a very interesting thing, being able to have access to social media, because I see all of these interesting perspectives that are very valid. Everybody's perspective is very valid. And it's important that we begin to understand how our perspectives, our minds, are actually creating our experiences. And if you're having experiences that are undesirable, can you make the connection that your mind is what's actually creating the undesirable experience? We have the illusion here, what they call the Maya, gives us this illusion that we're separate, that we are not connected to one another because we have these physical bodies. But that couldn't be further from the truth. We are absolutely 100% connected to one another in every way. I don't care if it's about racism or Trump or poverty or, if I'm a black person and you a white person or whatever it is, all of those are illusions of separation. That when we buy into them, that when we believe them, when we believe that I am not one with Trump. If you believe that I am not one with Trump, and this is the thing right now, this is the thing that gets us, because we buy into the belief of separation based on the physical world. The physical world expresses through duality, but in reality, in the spirit realm, everything is one. Everything is one. So the illusion of separation is it's killing us, y'all. It is killing us. And it's important for us to understand how reality works so that we aren't believing in things that are false. Okay, so based on that, I wanted to come in and talk about separation and oneness, and how our minds are really highly creative. If you want to understand how this reality works, like I have watched every movie, y'all. No, I haven't, but I've watched a lot of movies. Avatar, y'all. Avatar is the movie that can totally help you see how reality is really working. And that is how they, when they're going to ride their animal, they connect their animal through thought into the energy of the animal, and the animal follows your inner thought process. There's that. And then, how they connect to nature, and all of that is an example of oneness. Of our connection to one another, whether we see it or not, whether we perceive it or not. And when you have experienced a lifetime momentum of believing that you're separate, with narratives like them and they and racist and good and bad and Christian and Muslim, and when those narrations drive the illusion of separation. And because we are not really separate, when we live into those and believe those narratives of separation based upon behavior, like I don't like them because they're this, and I don't want to be like that. All of that stuff, those thoughts, right? Those thoughts are true measurements of energy, and those thoughts begin to create energetic boundaries within you that that show up as heart disease, that show up as depression, right? So, they say Americans have the greatest, like most people die of heart attack. Why? Because the more you create separation in your mind, the more you create constrictions in your heart, because there is congruence here, whether you like it or not. So the more your thoughts are intense and separate and I'm not that and that's, the more your heart contracts. And so you start having heart challenges and, cholesterol issues and all of that kind of stuff. It's such, let me tell you, I love this shit so much, you guys. I love it because I have suffered under my own negative thinking, of my own unconditioned thinking. I want to call it that. I've suffered from my own unconditioned mind and my own ancestral patterns and belief systems that get passed down, because the thoughts are, when you look at a brain and you see all those grooves in the brain, those grooves in the brain come from thought patterns, and they are passed down from generation to generation to generation. And they might not be exactly the same, but the frequency is the same, right? So if there is a thought pattern of fear and neglect and sorrow passed down from generation to generation, it won't necessarily be narrated in the same way, because what we have in the 1920s is not what's here in 2024, right? So but the feeling, it's the thought and the feeling that then create the same patterns in your genetics, y'all. Like, I'm telling you, I've been breaking, it creates the same patterns in your genetics. And when it creates the same pattern in your genetics, when you have a child, you pass that down to that child, and they are destined to repeat it unless, like myself, I was so clear, like, oh, I don't want to become what I see in my family. But I was so deeply programmed into it. The momentum of neglect, of addiction, of fear, of illness, of victimization was so deeply programmed within me that when it came into my experience, because I had to work my way through it. Now, here was the thing that I discovered. I couldn't work my way through it from judgment. I couldn't work my way through it from I couldn't work my way through it from being like, oh, they're wrong and they're bad and that. The only way to really heal is love. So I had to, over time and trial and error, I realized that, oh, I have to love myself through this. I have to love myself and release the judgments. Then I had a momentum of judgment of right and wrong and that's not right and that's not good. And I had to undo those patterns inside of me. And the only reason I can talk about it like this is because I've studied so much and because I understand my natal chart. And my natal chart, I have a Virgo 6th house with a stellium. And so what that means is that my energy is in the details of things, but everyone's experience is not going to be like mine. My experience is like this, is this way for this very reason, so that I can talk about it in a way that makes it accessible to others. That is why I have had this very intimate, difficult experience for the purpose of me being curious enough to see it and open it up so that I can then share my wisdom with others. I am designed to do what I am doing now at this time on the planet. This is my design. We all have a design. Everyone has a design, and everyone is not meant to be in the details of stuff, but everyone is similar. We all have the mental, We all have the emotional. We all have psychic energy, right? So everyone's energy is designed differently, but you are still responsible for learning how it works. This is how my energy works. So, what am I trying to say now? So oneness and the law of mind. So while we have Mercury retrograde, the retrogrades are rare opportunities. So it's important for us to begin to understand that when they say things like we live in a hologram, this is a hologram, here's what that means. And I'm going to do my best to try to explain it in a way that makes it accessible. Everything is projected out of your mind. It's just all projected thoughts because everything is energy. The illusion is that separation is occurring. The illusion is that we're not one, but we are. And the thoughts that you project, the frequency that you project, draws in people who have a like frequency, whose temperatures are similar to you. So, if you're someone who thinks, like, let's use politics, who's like, somebody's out to get me, the world is bad. If you're somebody who thinks like that, you will likely be around other people who think like that. Because that's the nature of how this reality works. So the hologram is that your energy is projecting, your energy gives you a feeling. Your energy gives you a feeling, which is then followed by a thought, which then creates the hologram, which matches you up with people around you who are like you. Now, because we live in the illusion of separation, many of us believe, I'm not like that. I'm not like that. But the more you are able to say, I am like that, that is in me too. I have that. Even if somebody is whatever you like, the thing is, it's not to have any judgment, right? So the moment I was able to say, I am one with Trump, the moment I was able to give myself permission to accept the law of oneness in my experience with Trump, the sooner I was able to heal myself of this idea that somebody's out to get me, that somebody has my power, that somebody is going to harm me, because that is a belief system and a frequency. And if you believe that somebody can harm you and you emit that frequency, then you generate that in your experience. It's just how it is. And that's down to everything. And, that's down to sexual, challenges and molestation and all that. And people are like, well, what about children? Everybody's innocent and nobody's innocent, right? We don't come here. We don't come here innocent. We come here with a lifetime of past lives. And so wherever your frequency is on the thing, so that's why I know, like, growing up and me being born into the family that I was born into lets me know, like, I really believe that in my past life on some level, I don't want to say I really believe it, but like that I did a lot of difficult things or harmful things or dark things or shadowy things. But because you can't judge it though, right? So like I'll joke and say I must have been a slave master in the past life, because this lifetime I was at such a negative frequency. It took so much work for me to get my momentum just to get to like a zero, just to get to neutral. And this is why it's important. We're all in the dark ages right now, all of us. And so some of us more than others because whatever the experience of your life is, right? So if you're having a lot of health challenges and all those sort of things, it's just unhealed patterns that you inherited from your family that become conditioned in your reality. And as you think a certain way and are, in a patterned family in a certain way and believe certain things, so I remember the things the things we believe about men have to show up and behave that way. The things you believe about women have to show up and behave that way, because your belief system and your frequency and your thought must become your knowing. It must become your knowing. It cannot be otherwise. And so, while we have Mercury retrograde, we have an opportunity. Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius is an opportunity for us to change our core selves, our core, and you have to do a little bit of work every day to reprogram yourself. And it requires taking full responsibility. So, for the past several years of my life, I have always known that I've always known reality is what it is, right? So when I was a little girl in church and they would talk about Jesus, I knew it was me. Whenever they talked about Jesus, I was like, oh, that's my story. And maybe it was because, I will say I related to being the hero is what I did. I related to being the hero. And the reason I related to being the hero, I think that we all do. And so, because I related to being the hero, I always knew that these stories were about me. But over time, being surrounded by adults who didn't confirm that inside of me, who didn't narrate that in the 3D world inside of me, I began to forget it. I began to believe in separation, that was somebody else's story. And then I was told that I needed to believe in Jesus like he was better than me. I am a sinner and he is perfect. Like, that narration really did something that cracked me. It made me feel worthless. It gave me the sense that I was worthless, compounded by being in a world where Black people were being treated as worthless. That reaffirmed for me something about myself, because at the core, early on, I knew that everything I was seeing in my reality was really about me. So when I started getting a lot of messaging around worthlessness and scarcity and not enough, it became something that I really bought into. And at some point, when puberty hit, puberty is an overload of power. And if you don't know how to manage it, it will take you. It's like a tornado that will come in and take you. And so puberty hit. And because I grew up in a family where there was a lot of dark, shadowy stuff, when puberty hit, it dragged me. And I just went out and I started having sex and really started externalizing my value. I started believing that something outside of me was going to be the thing that made me feel better. And I started practicing self-abandonment. And in doing so, I couldn't access my power. And I could feel that power was in me, but I didn't know how to access it. I didn't know that the way to access it was through my thoughts, through my feelings, through caring for myself, through nurturing myself, through taking responsibility. I didn't know that. I thought that by following the narrations and the guidance and the conditions of the culture that said, if you're a woman, you need this, you need a man, and you need to have the. I tried to follow those things because those were the things I was being taught. And it was rare to find anyone going in my reality. There was no one, I didn't see many people going against it. And it was doubly compacted by Christianity, by going to church. So when I was about 19 or 20, I stopped going to church. I stopped believing. Something happened inside of me. And I literally was like, okay, I am going to have to figure this out. And I was terrified because now that was probably 30 years ago. So a lot of people are leaving the church now. I left 30 years ago, and I left so that I could find myself, because I always felt power inside of me. I always felt like there's something in me that I can't access. Like I could feel the power, and I just didn't know how to get hold of it and harness it and drive it. I couldn't figure that out. It was elusive to me. It was like sand running through my fingers. So I had to really learn. And over time, I started to get better and better at it. And it's been a process. Let's just say that. And it continues to be a process. But now, while we have Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, we have this opportunity to rebuild our faith. And faith is a key component of our experience here in this dimension, in this reality. Especially now, while we are moving out of the dark ages and into the golden age. The people who are alive now have the greatest opportunity to transform. And you must give yourself permission to change. That's the thing. You have to give yourself permission to change. Because we've been conditioned into lies. Everything we've been taught is a lie in this reality. You have to give yourself permission to change. You have to give yourself permission to accept that you're going to start over. You're going to learn who you are. You have to give yourself permission to forgive yourself and to forgive, because I had to give myself permission to, that I bought into something. For years, I was really angry with the church because I felt deceived. And I had to give myself permission to recognize that I needed that experience. And now I recognize deception when it's 16 hours. I recognize it so quickly. I needed that experience. We have to be able to turn things over on their bellies, because we live in this reality that's a bit of a kaleidoscope, right? And it's a spectrum, and it's a dance between lights. So things are false and true, which is so fucking tricky, right? It's so fucking tricky. And the more I've understood how to be with things are false and true, what am I trying to say? The more I've learned how to be with the fact that things are false and true, I have discovered to not over-identify with anything, to just become the witness. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a lie or if it's true, because I'm just witnessing it. I'm just seeing it. I'm just observing it. I'm refraining from being in agreement with things, because everything is just passing by. It really doesn't matter. And when I started to understand, I'll use politics as an example. When I started to realize that I was deeply plugged into the political system, and I started backing up and asking myself, does this system really impact me? Is it really impacting my life? Now, don't get me wrong. Like people are like the price of gas and all of those are illusions, because something might cost you more, but then something else is going to cost less. It's just everything always balances out here. Let's just say it that way. So there's this illusion that this experience of politics was really impacting me. And when I started backing up and going, does this really matter to me? Really? Like, how is this impacting my life for real in ways that matter? Like really asking. And what I started to realize was that it was controlling my emotions. Because when a Republican is in office, I'm enraged. And when a Democrat is in office, I'm lazy. You know what I mean? When a Republican is in office, I'm taking it out. Oh, I got to get this done. When a Democrat is, I'm a chill. Oh, the impact that it's having on me is emotional and gets a momentum through stories of history. Oh, they wouldn't let us do that. So that would plug into my emotions. And if we're a woman and you can't do that, and then that would plug into my emotions. But really, once I realized like, oh, what changed it for me is when I gave myself an abortion. When I used neem oil to give myself an abortion, and I got there are herbs out there that can heal me, that can help me do whatever I need without any permission safely. Oh, this political system has no power over me now. I'm free. I can do whatever I want to do. When I realized that I could heal a bladder infection without going to the doctor, this system has no power over me. Like this is all an illusion. Pennyroyal. Yeah, okay, I love that. Pennyroyal works. That's so good. Let's all know that. Pennyroyal works also. So when I started to realize these systems really have no power over me on a daily basis. Oh yeah, maybe bread is more expensive, but okay, I'm going to take, it all balances out. So then I was like, why am I giving my energy to it? And here's why I question, because the energy that you have is so valuable. It's so valuable when you understand the nature of who you are, how your heart and kidneys and spleen and lungs and thyroids, and when you understand that your body really is functioning off energy, you will not want to give one thought to something that truly has no value in your life. You are too valuable to give your power. Like when I realized I was so enraged about Trump because he's racist or when I realized that those things really didn't have any value to me other than the media and the stories and the narratives and the momentum to drain my energy, when I realized it really doesn't matter, it changed everything for me. It changed everything for me. And so while Mercury's in retrograde, it's important for us to discover, where are you giving your belief systems to? And why are you doing it? Does it matter what you believe in? How does it matter in your life? Literally, the things you hold as true, how do they matter? For real. Is it really in your pocketbook? Is it in your health? Is it in your Does it really impact you in a way that is tangible? And if it does not, If it does not, how else can you use that energy? How else can you use that? Because every thought, every belief is a real energetic measure. It's like money. Everything you're believing is an energy that's doing something in your system and in your body, right? I remember when I realized that marriage, not for everyone, because some people are really well in relationships, but most of us are not. Most of us are not built to function in relationships in the ways that we do, through the lens of ownership, through the lens of that person belongs to me. Because the moment you create this illusion of that person belongs to me or I belong to them, you begin to really drain your energy and drain your life force. You literally take on people's karma. You take on people's health challenges. You take on you take on stuff that isn't yours when we commit to these relationships. If you're going to be in a relationship, the best way to hold your mindset in a relationship is, this person is my creation. I created them. And because that's what's true. You create them based on your own frequency and patterns and belief systems and ways of being. So when you understand that and you understand how this reality works, once I started realizing that like all my partners were born out of my own subconscious, they were imprints of my own masculine self. They were imprints of how I saw my father, what I believed about my father, what I was yearning for from my father. Because that's how energy works. So every man in my life shows up as a reflection of the relationship that I'm having with my father. And that's why I had to heal my belief systems around my father. I had to literally undo the narrations, the stories that I was telling myself about my father so that I could cut the momentum, dissolve the momentum that I had generated from inside of myself, that every man is like my father, because they were all showing up in very similar ways, because that's what I was projecting into this hologram. The same is for our health. The same is for our money. The same is for our friendships, our work. Everything is anchored in a belief system that you are having about yourself. And so I hope this is helpful. Do you guys have any questions? Like, how are you guys doing with Mercury Retrograde? It's new, and Pluto just moved into Aquarius. And reality is really, can you guys feel the changes? Can you feel the value of your... Are you having, what I want to ask you, do you have an experience of oneness? My right ear is ringing. Are you doing work to heal your masculine energy? Are you doing your shadow work to heal negative patterns that you were born into? My intention is to be helpful. I know that I have a perspective that is rare. I also know that I have a perspective that works. And because of that, I really want to support people. And, oh, great. Yay! Yay, Kendra. Oh my gosh, that's so great. Yes, you feel the shift inside. With myself as a human technology, yes, my thoughts are being, yes. I feel like I'm in the cocoon phase of my metamorphosis. Oh my gosh, that is so great. Who is V perspective? Who is that? that's V. That you change, girl. You be changing your V, do you change your name, your handle? Do you change your handle? Because like in this moment, I'm like, who is that? But that's you. It's very reflective time for me. I'm realizing that my prior belief system is not working for you. Yes. My thoughts are so pervasive, so creative. With this awareness, I'm trying to direct it more intentionally. That's the only time you change it. Okay, great. Okay, that's great. Hey, how you doing, darling? Okay, that's so exciting. I'm so excited, you guys. I really like all of you here are people that I have worked with, and I love y'all. I just want y'all to know that I'm so grateful that you all have trusted me to be a guide. Thank you so much. I'm so humbled. I'm so humbled because there's a lot out there, and I just love it. I love the work to help us heal. I really love the work to help us heal. So thank you so much. It's been such a powerful shift in how I relate to plant medicine and meditation. Rosemary has been a powerful ally in your journey. Yes, don't you? Rosemary is something else, right? Whoo! Isn't Rosemary something? It's been a wonderful following your account. After that chance meeting in Uber. Yes. And so it's really changing now. I'm beginning to feel that I just feel myself giving birth to a whole new experience. And it has required me allowing an old self to die. Like I've had to really surrender and allow the old identity. My phone is my battery's low, y'all. To allow my old identity to collapse. And that has been very scary in that, one of the things that I know we create our reality. And my desire is that I have no intent. I don't want to work for money anymore. Like I just need money to work for me. I don't want to work for money. And what I know is that this universe, it's a blank page. Our universal experience is blank. It's literally like a whiteboard. And, if you haven't, I've had a narrative that money is hard and money is scarce. And because of that, money hasn't worked for me. And so during this last couple years, I've been really watching my mind and how transactional it can be, and noticing how that transactional mindset plays out in my life. It got really astute when I started becoming an entrepreneur. When I worked for someone, it was not really a big deal because I didn't know that it was a big deal. It was still a big deal when I was working for someone, but when I became an entrepreneur, I started seeing it like, I felt very connected to how much people were paying me. So I would just sit down and pray about everything, because what I know is that the work that I offer is invaluable. You can't pay me enough for the work that I do. And I also know that, and I mean these things with love. Like there's a part of me that feels so weird saying this, but I know that I'm a genius. Like I know that I'm a genius, and I know that the work that I do is genius, and it is invaluable, and it doesn't belong to me. Also, it's not mine, and so I'm here to share it. And I want to share it freely because that's what I'm here to do. And I want to share it, and I also want to be taken care of. I also want to have nice things and have a good time. And I also, I want to have a good time, and I want to be myself, and I like nice clothes. You know what I mean? And and I want to live in a home that feels right. So it's been this interesting dance of like reprogramming myself to understand my value. And because this is a blank page, going to the divine within me saying, here's what I need it to look like. Here's what I am creating. Here's what I am. And I am abundance. It is the nature of who I am. And I've had to literally cut off my old ways of being. So in the last few months, I closed my business because it felt I closed the school, Follow the Sun, because it felt too transactional. It just felt like it wasn't really working. And so closing down those avenues of money helped me get clear about new ways that I could relate to abundance. And that has been the most challenging pattern to uproot. It's almost been like an emotional cancer inside of me that I've been working to heal. And I'm starting to feel so much better about it. Like I've had to really sit in it. And, when my money, a couple of weeks ago, my account was $300 in the negative. And it was literally like, take no action. Just see it and give thanks. Know that everything is working out for you. In the past, I would borrow money or, do something like, oh, I'm going to do that. And literally was like, do nothing except know the truth of your abundance. That's because everything is mine. Everything is mental. So it's like narrate a new story. Just narrate a new story. Even though it looks like just tell yourself everything is working out. This is exactly what I needed to breathe into it. Feel the constrictions of scarcity in your body. Feel the part of you that feels like you're not capable. Lean into the part of you that thinks you need somebody to come and rescue you. Lean into it. Feel the terror of, oh my gosh, my account is, or I need, feel that. Lean into it and then see what's really happening in your life. Do you have food? You do. Oh, okay. Are all your needs met? Mm-hmm. Even though your account is on negative such and such? Mm-hmm. And I just watched the reality just deliver to me everything I needed. People, oh, what can I get you? How can I do this? And taking no action. Like literally, that's how it works for me, because I've had to cut off a pattern that was anchored in my father. See, this is the thing, right? These patterns are anchored, like I said earlier, they are ancestral. So I had a father who was a hustler. God bless him. Let me tell you, God bless Jesse Ruffin. Jesse Ruffin, I'm so grateful for him. I had a father who was a hustler, so that hustle got anchored in my system because your father is your key to the 3D world. Your father is the imprint of how it's like your father creates the road, the psyche, the subconscious patterns of how you will behave in the world. So however my father behaved was in my system, and then I had to undo that by witnessing it and seeing it and, oh, this pattern and this thought and da-da-da, and contorting myself and healing and loving myself, just literally. And in doing so, now I'm beginning to create a new pattern. I'm beginning to see a new pattern emerge, but it's not coming from force. It's coming from love and compassion and witnessing and acceptance and peace with it, like recognizing and gratitude and gratitude. And so the last thing I want to talk about is gratitude. Gratitude is the key, y'all. Now, let me tell you, I have a ton of Virgo placements. And for any of you guys who are Virgos, I don't know how y'all feel about it, but grateful is the most has been the most challenging thing for me to be. Even though I actually undid my thing, but even though I have so much to be grateful for, fulfillment, and I'm getting better and better and better at it. I have so much to be grateful for. Shit, let me see if I can fix this thing. I'm sorry. And I'm getting better and better at being grateful. It has been a very difficult behavior for me to truly embody. Up till now. I'm good at it now. I'm great at it. I can access gratitude like in an instant. It's almost like, if you're an actor and they say some people who can cry on the dime, it's as an actor. I live in Los Angeles, so I'm around actors. To be able to access that kind of emotion, right? But I'm now able to access the emotion of gratitude because I've had to practice, and I've had to practice it without anything in the 3D world changing. I've had to, can you be grateful with your bank account on negative $300? Can you access gratitude from that place? Because can you just be in your mind with it, though that's important. Can you feel it? Can you feel grateful, right? Can you feel the acceptance and the blessing of every experience sincerely? Can you feel it? Because that is the agent of change. Gratitude is the agent of change. So there are a few things. We must understand the law of oneness. Oneness, if you don't have the law of attraction and none of that matters without the law of oneness. Oneness. It's the key to all of it. And then you have to give yourself permission to change. You must give yourself permission to be different. You must give yourself permission to be different. Who here is giving themselves permission to be different? Are you giving yourself permission to be different? And how is that looking in your life? What are you doing? And it can be very simple, subtle things. It doesn't have to be hard. You give yourself permission to be different. How's that looking for you? So you must give yourself permission to be different, to change, to transform. And that's not always easy for us because we get piled up with belief systems and protections and all that sort of stuff where we continue in momentums that were handed to us. Give yourself permission to be different. And then after that, gratitude. Got to be grateful for all of it. You got to be, if you hold anything outside of your experience of gratitude, that thing will make you suffer. And I like to use examples so that people can understand the nature of what I'm talking about. Like you have to give yourself, if you are a woman and you were raped, you have to give yourself permission to be grateful for that, to be like, I learned something from that. It's not from a place of blame. Like we think it's about blame. It's not blame. It's understanding that we're creating our realities, right? If you are, whatever your experiences are, if you have health challenges, all that, how did I create that? I'm grateful for it. I needed it. Anything you reject, you will conspire against you. Anything you reject will conspire against you. That's why I'm so grateful that I got to the place in myself where I was able to really heal this stuff around racism, because it was truly, truly, truly an optical illusion that had me by my tail. And, I think people get it. But once I realized that duality is the nature here and that we need those oppositional things to grow us, to get us stronger. Once I realized that in this Black woman's body, the best thing for me was racism, because it was going to be the thing that helped me access my power. Why? Because we live in a reality of duality. So if everything is easy, if everything is like, oh, I love it. If everything is easy and you have no resistance, then you build no power. Things cannot all be easy. That's why White people go jump off mountains and do all these things because they don't have a lot of opposition in the reality that we're in. So they have to create it, right? But as Black people, we have an incredible amount of opposition, which is profound. That is the gift, y'all. Like, we think it's bad, but it's not. It's actually really fucking good when you understand how reality works. So it's like the more opposition you have, the more power you have. That's why diamonds require a great deal of pressure to become diamonds. Coal requires a great deal of pressure to become a diamond. As Black people, we have the pressure innate in our cultural system that is making us diamonds. But if you rail against it, if you say it's wrong, if you say, I don't like it, then it persists. But when you say, yes, bring it on, motherfucker. Bring it on. When you say, bring it on, I got this. I'm strong enough for this. I have everything I need. When you say that, then your power increases. Your power increases. Your magic increases because you become one who can collapse the reality. You become the change. And when you become it, nothing can come against you. Gotta be grateful for it. So I love it. Thank you, racism. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so grateful for this experience of opposition that has assisted me in waking up to my true identity and my power. Literally the magic. You cannot have it all good. It's all good. It's all good, right? I'm going to say that. It's all good. But you need a negative and a positive charge. A car cannot move. There is no momentum without a negative and a negative and positive charge. And that's right. You cannot operate out of fear. You cannot be afraid of it. You literally, you can't be afraid of it. And we might think that looks like Dr. King, or this is not about avoiding anything either, but it's all oneness. That's all I can really say. If you want to go look at, there's a movie called, let me see if I can get the name of it. It's a Muppet movie. Let's see if I can find it. My list. And it is called a Muppet movie. Trying to see if I can find it. Okay, I can't think of the name of it right now, and I can't find it on my Netflix thing. Jim Henson wrote it, and it's about these little. Does anybody know the name of it? How would you guys know? But though it's possible for you guys to know because we are mind readers here. Jim Henson. It's a movie about the Skeksis and how they came and took over this planet. Nope, nobody said it yet. Okay, I can't find it. I'm going to let it be because it's not popping in my mind right now. But it's on Netflix. It's on Netflix. All right, y'all. I can't find it. All right, it is what it is. On my next live, I'll come back and tell you guys what it is. Sorry, still looking. Don't want to walk away. Nope, that's not it. Oh, The Dark Crystal. It's called The Dark Crystal. Yes, The Dark Crystal on Netflix. Go check it out. It is a really great story about duality and how the masculine and the feminine work together. Thank you. The masculine and the feminine work together, and how the way for us to master this reality is by mastering the negative and the positive within us. And so that can look a lot of ways. That can look like the masculine and feminine, or white and black, and things like that. But it's literally the mastery of it, the mastery of it, like inside of yourself, inside of yourself. Okay, y'all. Peace and blessings. I love y'all. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.